Welcome back into another episode of George in the Jungle, presented as always by Remington Tavern, coming at you live from the Cincy Light Studios. Remington Tavern can be found at 8892 Glendale Milford Road, 45140, where they have their daily happy hour from 3 to 7 p.m., $5 bourbon whiskey Wednesdays, bottle cap bonanza Thursdays from 7 to 9 p.m. You can check them out on Instagram at RemyTavCincy, that's REMITAV, Cincy with a Y, or follow them on Facebook. While you're there, grab an ice cold Cincy Light. They got it on tap, and you can support the people that support us. But with that, George, we had ourselves a little bit closer of a game than I think any of us expected on Saturday. But before we get to that, I did want to address Sunday's news, as unfortunately Jim Kelly has passed. Cancer gets another one. And that sucks. But you were Cincinnati sports for so long and continue to be here, but I'm sure you had plenty of interactions with Jim Kelly over your time doing the news.
Great guy from the first time you meet him. And that's a dude that did a lot of stuff, knew a lot of people, and I never heard one bad thing about him. Ever. And I remember going to UC and dealing not a lot, but some with his father, who was a legend at UC and was in the athletic department. I heard Dan Horde say today that between Jim Sr. and younger Jim, that there was like 70 some years of Kelly's working, Jim or his dad working at UC and being affiliated with the athletic department at the university, which is just amazing. And young Jim was an interesting guy. He was very kind of like a Renaissance man in a way. I remember St. Patrick's Day, I walk into Molly Malone's up in Pleasant Ridge, and they had a band outside. And I'll be damned if playing bass in that band wasn't Jim Kelly. I'd known him for decades, and I had no idea he was in this band and had that kind of talent. And they were really good. And they played that day. They were playing. I think they could play a lot of different stuff, but they were playing a lot of like the 50s and 60s kind of doo-woppy kind of stuff and all that. They were really good. And yeah, I was fearful. I knew, from Dan and others that are closer to Jim or were closer to Jim, that the situation wasn't very good. And I don't think Jim wanted anyone to really worry about him or know about his situation. And I was really concerned when I heard last Friday. And then at the game, they, asked for some thoughts for Jim. And it just, I knew that it was, probably dire. And unfortunately it was, but a hell of a life, and a life well lived, and positive effect on a lot of people by that man. And I obviously think the world of him.
Yeah. Just a guy who had so much time around the program and yet somehow still gone too soon. Just sucks.
Yeah, I texted him during a game last year. It might have been the Oklahoma State game. I can't remember when it was. It was something in the pregame that was kind of funny. And I texted something to him, and he got back in one of the breaks and was laughing about it. I can't remember what that was. Ironically, it feels like it was that Oklahoma State road game and something that I forget what it was. But just a true gentleman, and he will totally be missed. I mean, the university, it's a loss. It's a loss.
I mean, and such a family man, just everything about that man exuded positivity, and I hate to see it.
Yep.
But there was football played, and he did get to see Cincinnati get ranked again, as they jump up to 24th on your polls. But 2011 was the final on Saturday as Cincinnati takes out the Central Florida Knights of Gold, and it wasn't pretty.
It was a weird game. Like, I walked out of the stadium and I could not really put a finger on what I just saw. Like, it was so strange.
When you have a defense, or when you have an offense that has the ball for 40 minutes, you have more plays. What did Scott say? How did he say it today? He said that they ran more plays by UCF in the second half than you see in the entire game. Even I guess like those two drives, 17 plays, 19 plays in the second half. That's just crazy.
There were drives, and I'm trying to remember. I've got it here somewhere. So they had a 12-play drive that ended in a field goal, a 17-play drive that ended with a punt. I don't know if I've ever seen that.
40 yards on that 17-play drive,
That's
George.
Insane. That is so crazy. And then a 19-play drive for that touchdown. But it's late in the game. They took 9 minutes off the clock in that drive. And I'm sitting there watching this. And I kind of would have been in turbo at that point, I think, early in that drive. And they just seemed,
9 minutes on the 17-play drive, 7 minutes on the 19-play drive.
Okay. It was just weird. It was so – that whole game was just odd. And I had to go back and look at the play-by-play and just try to kind of relive what the hell it was I saw. That was really weird. And in the second half, 57 plays, I believe, for UCF, 258 yards of offense. And I believe the Bearcats had a total of 109 yards in the second half on 16 plays. I mean, I don't know how you win that game other than it is the ultimate, and you hate to use the cliche over and over, it's the ultimate bend but don't break defense. I mean, these guys give up 4 yards, 3 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards, 4 yards. It's just, it's crazy. And I give UC's defense a lot of credit, though, because they keep opponents off the board. It's not a suffocating defense. It's not a dominant defense, but they keep points to a minimum. And quite honestly, there's been a few lapses in the tackling department, but their tackling's been good. I mean, guys get the ball. That's kind of the problem with this in the pass defense. Guys are open enough to, complete passes, but at least they're on the ground quickly and don't, turn it upfield for a big play. They've been pretty good in open field tackling, in my opinion. It's been one of the strengths, I believe, of that defense.
Yeah, the only big play they gave up was that weird play where it bounces off the defender and ends up popping right into UCF's hands in stride on that. What was it?
Can you imagine? I know there's probably a lot of people out there and a lot of Bearcat fans. If you had UC minus the 10.5 and that stuff happens, that crazy play, and then the pass interference call in the end zone, I mean, holy God. That's a bad beat, the way that went down.
It was, wasn't it?
Uh-oh, sorry. I can tell.
I didn't put much on it, but I did lose.
And I wouldn't have either. I hate to give up those double digits unless I really feel good about it. But yeah, I felt pretty good about it, and I almost bet it. And I'm like, you know what? I've got money invested in tickets and everything else, and I've got enough invested in this game. Thankfully, I didn't invest more, but I thought about it. But man, when that crazy play happened on that deflection, and it's just, that's why I told the guy right next to him, I'm like, can you imagine if you're sitting here with UC minus 10.5 and that happens? I mean, that was a fluke. That was the fluke of flukes. And sorry about your luck, Aaron, because that was bad luck.
Well, no, college gambling Twitter was all abuzz about that bad beat. So it wasn't just people who were local. There were plenty of people nationally who had that game circled and were taking the points.
And I saw a couple of replays on that pass interference call, but I never really got a good angle. Was there a hand on a hip or what? What was
I was standing about 10 feet away from where it actually happened. When it happened, he fell. There was, I didn't see a hand. I didn't see anything.
I couldn't either. That was
he fell.
I'm surprised you didn't accost that ref if you had money on it, but you didn't have much.
I'm not going to say who by name, but there was certainly a certain spouse that was on the sidelines yelling at the ref.
Oh, really?
That was a thing.
Oh man, that was a crazy call, and then for it to happen like 2 weeks in a row, like with calls in the end zone on interference late in the game, and it's just, well, I guess the one wasn't late in the game, but boy, that one. At least they got out with the win, but that was one of the weirdest games I've attended and witnessed. And honest to God, I told my wife, I'm like, I don't know how to feel. I'm glad they won. I'm happy. It's good. It's all about winning. But that was just weird. And it tells me, and I know those PFF grades came out and stuff, but I don't remember anything about them really, to be honest. But it tells me when you have that kind of, to me, it was a little clunky and all that. Probably the offensive line didn't have its best day because you couldn't get any running room like you got the week before. There were just things that were just a little off. And it felt like one of those games where probably every play or every other play, there were one or two guys, and it wasn't always the same guy doing something that, wasn't up to standard. And it was good to hear, coach talk that they were going to rip everybody. When he said that after the game, I'm like, hallelujah. He's like, we will rip everybody. And probably the quarterback didn't have his best day either.
And then today he came back and said he didn't even have to really rip anybody because they knew what the standard was and they all got after it, got back to work on Sunday. And that's exactly what you expect out of a team like this.
That's a mark of a good team and quite honestly, a well-coached team that has a culture that seems to be, it's easy to say when they're winning, but there's something going on that's pretty good there with this team that these guys are able to do that. I think they have some really, really good leadership on this team among the players, not to mention the coaching staff, but bought in. That's what you want, guys to buy in. And it all indications are this team is pretty well bought in. Does that mean they're going to rack up double-digit wins? I don't know. I don't know. That would be way above expectations in my book for this team. But it's attainable now. They put themselves in position to do it.
Yeah, and you talk about a team that, wasn't able to really get the pass game really didn't get going tremendously. No. Sorsby ends up 12 of 21 for 191, 2 touchdowns. The running game never really got going. You had 27 carries for 115. Again, just not a fantastic day there. An average of 4.3. But
it's pretty cool though that you do have guys, like Cyrus Allen, pretty somewhat missing in action. Same with Goody, but then you got Jeff Caldwell, who I mean that's a nice option 2, 3, 4, whatever, however you want to look at it. That's a pretty good weapon to have. They do have different capabilities on offense. You got the fire plug at running back, you got the speed at running back, and then you got all these receivers and then a tight end that can take 167 yards. I wish he could have gotten in. He was outrunning the one dude, but that DB was able to get him, and we know how fast those DBs are, but that was pretty impressive by Rory.
Well, and like I was talking about, the offense really never got going. The 3 and outs kind of killed them on Saturday.
Oh yeah,
but this seems like something that last season and certainly the season before would have gotten them and would have been frustrating, would have been an insurmountable thing for this team. And this year, it seems like they've taken that step forward. There's some maturity there. There's some experience there that there wasn't last season. And it feels like they've turned a corner because that doesn't seem like a game that it seems like that with all of the things that went wrong in this game, it doesn't seem, your defense was out there for 90 plays.
That's
And
insane.
it just doesn't seem to me anyway that a game that they would have won last year.
No, I would agree with that. I would totally agree with that. And, you know, some of that you can, uh, a big part of that success you can lay at the feet of special teams again.
Yeah.
You know, flipping the field and that play with Covey when he threw the ball behind his back, you know, to keep it out of
Phenomenal.
the end. I mean, that was just a heads up, great play. And they've done that 2 weeks in a row now where they've been able to pin the opponent down there, you know, basically inside the 1 or 2 yard line. And it's just, it's that changes everything. And that's just such a welcome change from what we've been seeing out of these special teams the previous few years. And I harp on it every week, but my God, it's just a godsend because, you know, I'm sure everybody was like me. You held your breath when you were kicking a field goal or punting the ball away and afraid somebody was going to do something or fielding a punt, for God's sakes. That was an issue for a while. So it looks like they've got all those holes plugged, and you know, it's really cool that they have good special teams right now, and that was a part of it, of the success Saturday too, with the way they were able to, you know, change field position like that.
Yeah, 4 3 and outs in this one though on the offense. That's obviously not great.
No,
Get
and one
this,
to
Jordan.
start the game that was just, you know, 1 yard run, incomplete pass, you're punting. That's just not the way to start.
Satterfield said today in his presser that they are running the 4th least amount of possessions in the country per game at 10. I think that's a crazy stat.
Yeah.
And they somehow are also 2nd in the country in yards per play. So take that for what you will. I don't know, but
yeah, it doesn't. When you look at the stat sheet, it doesn't add up. But you know, in practice and on the field, it does. It adds up to wins. And yeah, it was an interesting game, and that's going to, you know, a game like that skews the stats a little bit too because it was just so crazy.
Yeah, it felt like, and then we talked about this last night, but it just kind of felt like one of those AAC games where you just grind through it, just trying, like, especially against, you know, a Navy or something like that, Army.
Yes.
You know, just a game where you just slog through it, just hoping to get to the end where you're on the shining side of the scoreboard, if you will.
Yes. And thank God they were playing a team that's been struggling. Because, you know, if they'd done that, you throw that clunker out against Kansas or even the week before against Iowa State, you're in trouble. So, you know, they picked a good time to have an off day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you brought up the defense. 8 pass breakups in this one. Definitely the most by far in a game for this team this season. 2 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, 5 QB hurries, 1 forced fumble, although UCF did fumble it 4 times in this one. But the intriguing thing to me, and I brought it up last night, curious to get your thoughts here. Lots of guys whose names are at the top of the tackling leaders in this game that aren't your usual hitters, if you will. Trey Gala-Collard had 9 tackles, Jonathan Thompson with 8. And then, of course, Jake Golday up there in your top 3 with 7. He was tied with Dingle. And then Simeon Coleman had 6. Whedon had 6. And Xavier Williams had 5. And you're starting to see some of those young linebackers start to show up on the stat sheet. And I think that's nothing but a good thing. Yep. And then just the fact that it's other guys finally starting to stack up some of those stats that aren't guys Jake Golday or Dante Corleone.
Right, and that's great. You want that kind of you want everyone contributing. And the more that contribute in that way, the better you're going to be in the long run because you have all those options and you feel good about putting all these different guys in because, you know, all these teams stress now, and UC stresses it as much as anyone is keeping these defenders fresh. And you know, they do it with their receivers too and their running backs. And, it's all about keeping these guys to where they still have plenty left in the tank for the fourth quarter. And so that is just all positive vibes, in my opinion. And I'm glad they are, they're trusting these guys and they're letting them go out there and play, and it's working. And so that is nothing but a good thing, because we know, the injury bug can bite and things happen, and you got to have kids that have experience. And it looks like a lot of kids are getting a lot of experience on that defense this year.
Going back to the offense, you talk about guys getting some experience, and on that offensive line, as good as it's been all season, I mean, you've got Brendan Sorsby still only with 1 sack on the season, and that's fantastic. Hat tip to that offensive line. But it sounds like you're probably, according to Satterfield today, you're probably going to continue to see some rotation at one of those tackle spots as Buford continues to get penalties, and the penalties have cost touchdowns, they've cost big plays, and they want to see a little bit more out of what they have in guys like Ethan Green and Judea Milton.
Yeah, and that kid came in and played well. And what is this, his last year of eligibility? I'm not sure. I think, but he's got some junior college in his background, so I don't know how all that works, right?
DeAndre Buford, I believe it's his last year, but I don't
the
know
other kid, the kid that came in, Milton.
I don't know the answer on Milton.
Yeah, I don't know either, and I should know that. But yeah, and I think we will continue to see that. And obviously it's good to have competition. I would feel better if Buford wasn't getting those penalties and
Sure.
It seems like they come at bad times where it really hurts, whether it's down on the goal line or a third down play that they convert and it gets brought back, whatever. It just it seems like they've come at pretty inopportune times.
It's Judea Milan,
time
not
for
Milton. There's no
what's
T.
that, Chad?
It's Judea Milan, Milan,
Sorry.
M-I-L-O-N, not T.
Milan.
And he's a redshirt senior.
So that's it.
Yeah. Well, who the hell knows anymore? But
That's all I know. Ask Tawee Walker.
theoretically,
Right.
That's
I know. It's hard to keep track of this, and I don't know if anyone can now. It's so gray to me.
well, he is a junior college kid.
Right. That's what I'm wondering.
That's what he was saying. Yeah.
I know. That's what.
Who knows? Who knows?
I don't know what to make of that.
He is technically listed as a redshirt senior.
Because that's the
I don't
same
know
thing
from
that
that.
happened with Tawee Walker, right? He thought he was out.
No, he was out. And
Yeah.
then he filed a waiver, and he got the waiver, and he got it back.
Well, if I'm this kid, I'm filing a waiver, man. He's getting some PT now. It seemed like he played pretty well to me.
Well, like I said, you're going to continue to see some Ethan Green and Judea Milan rotating in. And look, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how well you're playing as a unit if you still have some other options that continue to show up. So
Right.
I'm curious to see how the rotation goes, and obviously want to continue to see the ongoing success for this offensive line.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's been obviously one of the big reasons they're in the position they're in.
Going back to special teams, you talked about Max Fletcher and his punt there at the 2. He had 4 inside the 20. He continues to be incredible. You've also seen Rusnick just make everything. He's automatic at this point.
Yep.
I don't know that when was the last place kicker you had that you felt was automatic every time he went out to kick?
Boy, it's been a little while. It's interesting because when UC used to suck more often than not, they always had good kickers and decent punters, and then it's like they got good, and then it became a struggle to find good kickers. I mean, they've had them, but yeah, I don't know when the last time I felt as good about a kicker as I do this one when he comes in to kick a field goal. Like you said, it feels automatic.
And then you mentioned Manny Covey and his throwing the ball back into the field of play to make sure you didn't get a touchback there. But the gunners on punting, just all of the kickoff coverage. I mean, UCF, their average start was at their own 18 in this game, and that's wild.
That's incredible. That's rare, is what that is. That is very rare, and that tells you your kick coverage, is really, really good. Kickoff and punt.
Been outstanding. So, Oklahoma State coming up on Saturday. The last time they played, I believe, 45-13.
Oh, God, yeah. That freaking Ollie kid ran nuts.
Ollie Gordon. Yeah, he was pretty good. But
at least he's not there anymore. The hell, who is? Gundy's gone too.
They got a receiver playing quarterback, and
right. I don't know what to expect. I think UC should definitely get the job done on the road, because this team is really they're really struggling. When you look at Division I NCAA football rankings, like on the offense, defense, it's all bad.
Yeah, they've had a tough go of it this season, and that sucks for the kids there. Obviously, it sucks for the staff when you fire a coach mid-season, especially one who had been there for as long as Gundy. I don't know what life is before Gundy.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah, I mean, he was there since probably what, 20 something.
I think it was at least 20 years, maybe.
Yeah, he's in there a long time, and that's weird. It's changed so much, and it's changed pretty quickly with all these coaches getting canned early in the year.
Yeah.
Like, that used to not happen. It was rare when it did. And if it did, something probably catastrophic happened. Like, the dude got arrested or something. I mean, it was like, or punched a player or something. Now, it's just like, they are getting, I think that I think I saw it's like, is it 7 coaches have been whacked since the beginning of the season in college football?
And somehow neither of those names are Bill Belichick or Luke Fickell. So I don't.
Oh boy, he's hanging by a thread up there. He's still got a pretty big buyout, but that fan base is ready to burn the castle down, man. They got the torches lit and they're marching.
Well, the game against Oklahoma State opened at 20.5. It's moved to 22.5. The over-under opened at 57.5. It's moved to 58.5, George. But Dante Corleone in his presser today said to know that, I believe his name's Samuel Jackson, the guy who's going to be quarterback. He was at one point the number 1 quarterback in Illinois.
Wow.
So he's no slouch, and they're taking it seriously. They continue to beat the drum of every week. You just got to finish 1-0. I know it's cliche, but as long as you're hyper focused on that, and given the leadership on this team, I don't feel like they're anything short of hyper focused on that goal. I think they should go take care of business, and obviously you want to see the offense get going in this one, because they got some tough games coming up. You got the bye after Oklahoma State, and then it's kind of a Big 12 gauntlet. Somehow you missed out on Texas Tech this year, and thank God. Maybe you see them. Maybe you see them in.
Jesus.
Maybe you see them in the conference championship, but you got to take it one game at a time. Dante also reminded everybody not to get lost on the fact that last season they had 5 wins and only needed 1 more to get to bowl eligibility, and they lost every game after that. So don't lose sight of 1 week at a time, and that's kind of going back to last season. That's why they can't lose sight of that 1 game at a time mindset.
No, and if you can keep that, and it's that way pretty much in every sport, and it is cliche and coaches preach it, but it works. That's why people talk about it, because no matter how good you were or how bad you were in that last game, you got to put everything into the next game. That's gone. That's over. It's like It's like a bad golf shot. And I have plenty of those. And I can sit there and brood and be mad and slam a club and still have steam coming out of my ears on the next shot. And you do it again. It doesn't help. It doesn't help to brood over something that's already happened. And they've done a really good job of, and it doesn't help to think you're a world beater because you had a great game this Saturday. Doesn't mean that's going to carry over and you're going to have a great game next Saturday because it's a whole different deal with a different team you're playing, different matchups, and you got to get your butt focused on what's in front of you. And hopefully they'll do that. Hopefully, it's kind of good. I'm sure they've got a lot of video from Saturday to show these guys, hey, you ain't all that. And they need to go into Oklahoma State, take care of the business, and get bowl eligible now, and not let that become a thing, as the weeks roll on, especially with a bye week coming up. You don't want to go out there and lay an egg and then have that kind of hanging around for a couple of weeks. Go out there, get it done, get bowl eligible, and just keep going from there. And then, focus on getting healthy and getting through that bye and getting through Baylor.
Exactly. Switching gears and speaking of getting healthy, Jalen Haynes is going to be out indefinitely per a release today by the men's basketball team. Big Slime came in, and we were excited about seeing what he could bring as a big body 4-5 that this team has really wanted to have around the last couple of years, and nobody was ever really able to fill that role.
Right.
But we had the guy, and I don't know any of the details at this point. I don't know anything other than he is out indefinitely. I don't know what that means. I don't know the severity, but it's certainly going to alter at least the beginning of this season, as he was a guy I think you were probably counting on for, 20 minutes plus per game.
Yeah, and they said lower leg injury is what they're calling it.
Lower body injury.
Lower body injury. Yeah, I just hope it's not a foot, because you know how that can be with big men. Even though he seems like he's lost some weight and really gotten in tremendous shape since he's gotten here. Not that he was out of shape before, but it looks like he's kind of a leaner and meaner version of what we saw when he was at George Mason. So hopefully it's not something that lingers and is a foot thing, because those can always be problematic for big guys.
So my understanding is it happened yesterday, so they're still sorting through everything. But it's probably going to be a while. It doesn't sound good.
So a while meaning
indefinitely.
Like not coming back. Like you're not going to see him by Thanksgiving, I don't think.
Yeah, and I would love it for the kid to see him as soon as possible. But also, if it's something where he can get back and get a few games in before conference play, then all is not lost. But
I don't
that's
feel
a little too optimistic.
That's optimistic from the, like I said, a lot of it is still unknown because it just happened yesterday.
Right.
But it sounds like it might take a while. Like they don't put something out like that the day after it happens.
Right.
For the guy's going to miss 2 to 3 weeks.
Right.
So I would get very familiar with Tyler McKinley.
Yep. Well, hopefully that's not all bad. Hopefully turns out to be a good thing.
You think that spells more minutes for a guy like Jalen Celestine as well?
At the 4, I think you probably would have to. Yeah, I mean, if Chom and Baba are your 4 and 5, or your 5 and 4, McKinley would probably step in as that 5 behind Chom, along with Halveen, and then Baba and Celestine at the 4. I think it opens up the 3 probably more than anything.
Yeah.
For Abayev,
Sean Abayev season.
Look, man, I'm out in front of this one already. I really like Jordy Rodriguez.
Wow.
And I like Abayev a lot too. But I knew a lot about Abayev, right? Like, when I'm watching him at practice, I knew what to expect from Sean Abayev. Jordy Rodriguez has surprised me. So it could open up some more minutes for him at the 3, which could be really interesting. So, I think the thing that hurts the most for me, and Dave and I will talk a lot about this tomorrow, but just my initial thought is one of the reasons they brought him in was to reinfuse some of that toughness that was missing from last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that there's anybody down low that has kind of that dog mentality like he did. And that's not to say that Abayev Baba and Cham are soft by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
But if you watched Jalen Haynes play, he had some nasty to him.
Yeah.
And I think that was something that was sorely missed last year. And I thought that was something he was going to bring. And I also think there was kind of a belief that, like, you could play any combination of those 3 together. You could play Haynes and Cham together. You could play Baba and Cham together. You could play Baba and Haynes together. And you were kind of riding with, like, those 2 guys, probably of those 80 minutes. Like, I could have seen a world where 65 plus of those minutes were going to just those 3 guys.
Right.
So you take Haynes out of that, you might still be at the same minutes, but it means a lot more minutes that Baba and Cham are going to be on the floor, which could end up being fine.
Right.
Like, it could just be what a normal basketball rotation looks like, where those 2 guys are playing 27 minutes plus. So it hurts. Like, it's definitely the team is not as good right now as they were. Yes, you want to hear the bad thing? I heard it happened in the last minute of practice yesterday. The last thing that they were doing.
That sucks. That's just terrible luck. But injuries do happen. But at least they do have some nastiness out front that hopefully could help, shepherd everybody else along.
I agree. I just think like dissecting it in my brain for however long it takes for him to get back. It just felt like that more than and he's skilled and he can, he averaged almost 15 points a game, almost 7 rebounds a game in the A-10. Like, he's an excellent player and they're going to miss a lot of the tangible stuff.
Right.
But I like the idea of having one of those guys in that post rotation that, was going to battle and make guys think about coming down the lane. So yeah, it stinks. It is.
Yeah, because he's old school Bearcat basketball is what he is.
Yeah. So
they've been missing that.
Wes is talking tomorrow at 10:30. I'm guessing we'll get what we get out of him for the foreseeable future on this situation then.
Yeah, I would think, okay, this happened yesterday. Yeah, they should have testing and everything back, and radiologists probably will look at any scans that they did, or
a lot of that though is going to depend on what it is,
right,
and how much swelling there is, because they're not able to really get those tests done,
right,
if there's significant swelling.
Yeah, sometimes you do have to wait.
So I don't want to get anybody's hopes up on anything that we'll definitively hear tomorrow. But I'm guessing if we are going to get anything from Wes in the foreseeable future, it'll be tomorrow morning.
Well, can't wait to hear it.
All right, thanks, Chad.
Or can wait to hear it. One of the two.
Yeah, exactly. But yep, I'm loving football season, and I'm looking forward to basketball. There's no doubt about it. I got my tickets. Just got them last night from my negative man.
We'll see what Wes has to say tomorrow. But speaking of football season, there was another game here not here, it was in Green Bay, but on Sunday as the Cincinnati Bengals traveled to Lambeau and lose 27-18. We got to see our first look at Joe Flacco as your starting quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. He goes 29-45, 45 passes in your first game 5 days after they trade for you. It's crazy.
I
219, 2 touchdowns. The running game still sucks.
Yeah.
The passing game, I will say, started to actually look like it got into rhythm in the second half.
Without a doubt. I mean,
if they played one more quarter, I don't know that they don't end up at least in a tie. And Green Bay's already got one of those on their record.
They got it going on, and it was interesting. Man, I'll tell you what. I respect the hell out of Joe Flacco and any of those guys that are able to do that. The dude comes in on Tuesday night, and obviously in that first half, you could see he was kind of searching and feeling it out. And that first half was like Jake Browning without the interceptions, which is an improvement because there weren't interceptions. It was clunky. They weren't always on the same page and things. But what I liked is, he figured it out. And in that second half, I mean, he certainly spread the ball around, but he prioritized the weapons. He threw 12 balls to Jamar Chase. Like, he was targeted 12 times. T was targeted, I forget how many. He had 8 targets. So 20 targets. Yes. Please keep doing that. And in that second half, they weren't all these long routes. They weren't all these, they were working those guys on
what we talked about last week.
It works. These guys are getting open and hit him. And he did. I mean, he is a savvy veteran quarterback who probably doesn't have a lot of gas left in the tank. But that dude had to come in and see these guys, these wide receivers he has to work with. And daggone it, if Yoshi would have done anything and hung on to the ball, I know that was a step back for that dude. He's got to flush that one and get back to catching the damn football. But and that hurt him. But this dude figured out in a hurry what he needed to do to make this offense move a little bit. And that to me is very impressive. Like, I just thought, and I'm giving him all the credit because I'm not, I don't, it's not that I don't want to give it to Zach, but I've seen enough over the years that I'm thinking the change here was Joe Flacco and his brain. And boy, oh boy, not that they were world beaters in the second half, but they were moving the ball on the Packers with Micah Parsons and that other dude. And that's a good football team at their house. And that was a good second half for the Bengals. It made me believe they could win this week against Pittsburgh at home.
Maybe. Pittsburgh, Thursday, they're calling it the Icy Hot Bowl. But we'll get to that.
Damn Bengals.
We'll get to that in a minute. But good to hear that Jamar Chase was getting vocal. It sounds like more so as the game continued in the huddle and kind of commanding the huddle since Flacco was new. Odd that Flacco really wasn't talking to anybody on the sidelines. That
was weird. I thought the same thing.
The only one he was talking to on the sidelines was Jake Browning. Maybe he just got in there and didn't feel accepted right away, or I don't know what the vibe was in the locker room, obviously, but Jake Browning didn't make it comfortable when he was asked questions after, Joe Flacco's first practice, as Browning was blaming anyone but himself. Weird. A little different than what Joe Burrow does anyway.
Right.
But some other weird stuff to come out of this game, though. Logan Wilson benched. I don't know what to make of that.
I don't.
Then you have Trey go down with concussion. I believe it was concussion. But I don't know what to make of this defense. The linebacker position has been since what, the draft, gone under complete overhaul at this point. If Logan Wilson doesn't pull his head out of his ass and start to play actual football again, I don't know what to make of anything going on with him, because he has taken quite the decline over the course of the last year.
Right.
And overall, the defense didn't play well. They played well enough to keep them in the game.
But they were getting gashed on the ground too. I mean, Jacobs was like pushing too many piles, and that was very problematic, especially I felt like in the first half, and then when it got to some crucial points in the game where you had to get a stop. That's a problem. There's no doubt about it, but that's a damn good team that they were playing. But I mean, early on, it looked like they were going to get boat raced, and then somehow they found a way to hang in there. And, by God, I wish that timeout hadn't happened for that 66-yard field goal. Oh, my God, it went through. That was so funny. And that could have made a difference, because then, the margin shrinks. It's a one-score game, late.
Momentum.
It could have made, yes. That was.
It also would have made history.
Yeah. It was so. That thing hits and goes through, and just, Zach laughed, and you had to. It's just like their luck that timeout gets called and he actually hits the kick. And then after the timeout, we saw what happened. But no, I was honestly, as down as I've been on the Bengals, I was pretty pleased with that second half overall. And it gave me some hope that they can beat the Steelers Thursday, some hope that they can beat some of these other teams that are coming up and maybe hang around. I still don't think they make the playoffs, but they can maybe make it interesting. But they're going to have to win Thursday night, because we know where the Steelers are in the division.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Mike Gesicki is out for the foreseeable future. He gets injured in this one, and that makes the Noah Fant signing that much more important.
Yeah.
So say what you want about Tanner Hudson. He had a touchdown in this one. I didn't see anything out of Tanner Hudson that I don't think any other guy who's a tight end that plays in the NFL couldn't have done.
Right.
Nothing was outstanding there. However, Noah Fant, I've seen things this season already that looked good, as opposed to just a guy in Tanner Hudson.
Yeah, you look at Flacco's quarterback rating for that game too was a 90, and Browning's highest rating in any of the games he played was like a 76. So there was definitely an improvement there.
And I
still don't know why the Browns did it. I am mystified to this minute.
Well, and you keep talking about the upcoming Thursday night game against the Steelers, so might as well talk about it now.
I'm sorry. I just
no, it's fine. Tomlin said the same thing. Why would you trade?
He was mad about it, didn't he?
Well, because at the end of the day, you've got a team who's searching for a quarterback. Everyone in the league knows they're searching for a quarterback, and you trade a guy who's good enough to be your opening day starter. You trade him to an interdivision rival. It's a strange thing. It doesn't happen often. I think this happened 3 times in the recent future, recent past. But I don't know. I don't know why you would do it if you're the Cleveland Browns. I'm not upset they did it.
No, it was a great move by the Bengals. But yeah, I understand Mike Tomlin's frustration with that, because he's trying to win that division. It's funny that he brought it up and he talked about it the way he did, but I guess he wanted that message out there to Cleveland. Like, what in the hell are you doing? And I'm with him on that. And he's also got the Flacco's 11-11 against the Steelers, so Tomlin has reason to fear Joe Flacco. In fact, he beat the Colts last year. He beat the Steelers.
That game, Pittsburgh's only favored 5.5. And We'll see. It is in Cincinnati.
It's going to be a fun game. A Thursday nighter, whiteout. It's going to be fun.
Poor Joe Flacco, though, to have 2 games that quickly after getting traded.
You're right. That's
2 games
another thing.
He's been with the organization for less than 10 days, and he's going to have 2 games under his belt. That's bananas.
Yeah, essentially had, 4.5 days to prepare for the first game, and now he's got like 3. It's like, good luck, buddy. And it's a good thing he's a seasoned veteran, though. He's a guy that can handle that. If he was 27 years old, it might be different. But, having these 2 fossils at quarterback in this game is hilarious, too.
Yeah, both guys over the age of 40. That's why they're calling it the Icy Hot Bowl.
Yes, it is.
But you've got the good news is after this game, Joe Flacco has 10 days. I can't call him Joe. I don't want it to get anyway. But you've got 10 days to prepare for your next game. So you've got plenty of time after this one to rest and recuperate. And you've got some downtime. I imagine they probably don't have to report back until Sunday?
Right.
Monday.
That's usually how it is. Yeah.
You've got plenty of time for him to sit with the playbook and study and figure stuff out, and we'll see where that goes. But yeah, Thursday should be nothing short of interesting.
Yeah, I was impressed with him, man. It did give me hope that, when that game was over, I'm like, first of all, the way they had been playing, and if they stick with Browning, there was no chance to beat the Steelers, none. Now there is a chance in my book, and a decent one.
Jamar Chase is ready to be raw dogged by Pittsburgh. So what a weird.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's going to be as well. He should be. He'll be featured again, man. You gotta. That's one of the best playmakers in the NFL. You got to get him the ball, and fortunately, Flacco's smart enough to know it.
If you can luck yourself into a win here, that'll take you to 3-4 behind the Steelers at 4-2. So we'll see. But
now if they jump out to 5-1, then the Bengals go the other way. We're
not
probably
looking great.
See Joe Burrow back this year. I don't know if we will anyway, but
right.
That's the season's going to be going south, unfortunately. Although they still have some opportunities coming up with games against the Jets and some of those other teams on the schedule that just aren't that strong. But the whole NFL's kind of that way. Is it seem that way to you? And I read an interesting article today about there's no good teams in the NFL. Like there's all this parity, and the Colts are playing very well. The Lions, yes and no. We see what happened to the Bills last night. Like, what's going on in the NFL? It's like the teams you think, and the Chiefs haven't set the world on fire. They did look good the other night. Kind of surprised me winning that game the way they did on Sunday night. But yeah, you can't bank on anyone right now. It's I don't want to call it mediocrity, but it certainly is parity.
Well, if you play fantasy football, there's plenty of parity there too right now. So it's been a weird year. In any case, no real news on the Reds this week. So we will go ahead and skip over that. But FC Cincinnati plays CF Montreal at 6:00 on Saturday. A home game for FC Cincinnati to finish out the season, last game of the season.
Hopefully they get a win. That would lock up the number 2 seed in the East. They're tied in points with Miami, but they hold the tiebreaker if they get a win. If they don't get a win, obviously Miami could win and have more points. But Miami finally caught up to the rest of the league in games played.
Cincinnati is a -180 on this one, heavily favored.
Boy, that is.
Montreal +400 and the draw +350. So we'll see what happens there. But that'll finish out your season, your regular season anyway, and then we'll get into playoffs. But outside of that, I don't have anything else going on in the city. What's going on in high school sports?
Well, Elder beat Highlands as expected at the pit. Elder's really good. Elder's 8-0 now for the first time since 1991 is what I saw.
Wow.
Anderson remains undefeated. Now they have a big game this week against Winton Woods. Winton Woods is 7-1, so that'll be a hell of a game. But Anderson has been a machine. And I'll tell you what, you think of Anderson and all the points they score, and Evan Dreyer, the coach there, is known for the up-tempo offense, and boy, but his defense is outstanding this year. They're really, really good. Other undefeated teams in Ohio: Taft, Baden, Indian Hill, all 8-0. Lloyd, Chad's Lloyd Juggernauts, still 8-0 now, undefeated. They got a bye week this week. And Holy Cross, 7-0. How about that, Chad? That's impressive.
The best part is one of my friend's kids is the quarterback.
Oh, really? That's cool.
I know both parents, actually. I've been friends with both parents. The mom since middle school, and the dad since – you might remember the dad, George.
Was he a good athlete?
He played at Boone County on their 1995 regional championship team. It was a big kid, a center named Mark Evans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would have done stuff with them for sure.
Rick Cummins, Mark Evans. That was the year after Sean Alexander graduated, and their football team was great. They had a basketball team that won the region. They beat Lloyd.
Oh, wow.
In the regional finals in '96, I think. But yeah, so
good
bloodlines.
Lloyd has a bye this week, and then they're on the road the following week, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, they're in pretty good shape, man. That's impressive.
I was at the Bourbon County game that came down to the wire.
Yeah.
And they managed to hold on. They got up, and then Bourbon County kind of stormed back and made it close. And Lloyd, I think they won 22-20, something like that.
So there's probably a chance they could see each other again.
It was a really good game.
Yeah, that's some of those high school games are just so much fun to watch. And it's like any football game, but you go to a high school game and you're going to see something you've probably never seen before happen on the field. It just seems like every week when I go to games, I just sit there and go, well, there it is. That's the play I've never seen before, or I've never seen a kid do that. It's just so much fun.
All right.
So there's a new deli in Dayton, Kentucky, George. It looks outstanding.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Rump and Roll.
Well, I may have to go over there.
How about the hot, spicy Italian? Capicola, Sopressata, hot pepperoni, provolone, pickled habanero, veggie relish, lettuce, tomatoes, shallot, cherry pepper, herb mayo on a baguette.
Damn.
I know.
All right.
Let's go get some lunch, Georgie.
Well, oddly enough, when I'm done with this, I'm running out to get something because I am freaking dying. This day has been a disaster. Aaron already heard me bitch about overscheduling myself.
Oh, I'm in the middle of that this week. I'm swamped. I overscheduled myself so much, George, that I have to start. Tomorrow, I'm feeding the volleyball team. I'm doing 20 plus pounds of pork shoulder. And then last minute, they scheduled Wes's press conference for tomorrow.
Oh.
So I'm not going to be able to be here to man the smoker in the morning. So I'm going to smoke this pork shoulder overnight. So I have to stay up until like midnight to get it started. That's how overextended I am right now.
Oh man, yeah, you got me beat, but you have you've got a young'un, and that really is. But it's worth it.
George had to do a spelling bee today.
I had to do a spelling bee tonight.
Something you'll really appreciate, George. What I got at the game on Saturday.
Oh, that's cool yeah. Where'd you get those?
Garrett Campbell's mother-in-law had them made for me as a gift.
God, that's awesome.
I got two.
Now I'm jealous. You always have to have two. Like at my house, my wife, she's so OCD. if you have an uneven number, like just one, it gets thrown away. If you have two, if you have three, then one of them gets thrown away. It's got to be even numbers with her.
The problem with one is that you're just going to have to drink. Like, that tells you you're drinking alone. At least with two,
yes,
there's the illusion that somebody else is drinking with you.
Yes, but if you're like me, there's a lot of times it is just one.
It's just the one. Like, it's just the one. But I've got two. So if there was an option for somebody else, I would have another glass.
Good. Hopefully you get an option soon.
It's my birthday weekend. I'm not even going to get to have a drink, I don't think.
Oh, my God. Is that
Thursday night, got to go to bed early because we're getting up to drive to Michigan. We're going to the Michigan UC exhibition on Friday on my birthday. And then that's not going to get done until late. So and then we got to get up early and drive back home because of the UC Oklahoma State game Saturday night to go to the Holy Grail. Then I got to stay sober there so I can come home and do the aftermath with Aaron after the game.
Does Aaron stay sober for those?
Yeah.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah.
You won't want me Saturday night at 11. Tell you that.
That's why we don't ask, George.
That's right. Good. All right, boys.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up here for George in the Jungle. Be sure to check out Remington Tavern at 8892 Glendale Milford Road, 45140, where you have your daily happy hour from 3 to 7 p.m., $5 bourbon whiskey Wednesdays, bottle cap bonanza Thursdays from 7 to 9 p.m. Check them out on Instagram at Remington Cincy or follow them on Facebook. While you're there, grab an ice cold Cincy Light and support those who support us. But for George Vogel, for Chad Brendel, I'm Aaron Smith. We'll be back here next week to discuss all of your Cincinnati sports.
Thank you, Aaron.